Kanika Chaudhary, Mumbai, quoting from the Tao teaching of Lao Tzu, chapter 79. When a great resentment has resulted, even if one tries to reconcile and make peace, there is bound to leave some remaining resentment. Thus, how can this be considered as a good settlement? Therefore, a saint cultivates himself with introspection and self-discipline without blaming others for faults. This is like the ancient custom which acts by holding on to the left part of the tally as a debtor that demands nothing from others. Hence, a person of virtue acts as if he were the debtor. And a person without virtue acts as if he were the creditor that demands only from others. The Tao of Nature is impersonal, which makes no exception to anyone. It always assists those who are kind and virtuous. Question is, Acharya ji, in the above verses, great resentments once resulted are bound to leave some resentment in spite of the reconciliation. This is what happens in my personal life. There is always a residue. Further, it's said that a person with virtue acts as if he were the debtor. How can I develop myself to be a person of virtue and act as if I were the debtor? Deepest gratitude, Kanika. Kanika, this is the way of gratefulness. Whenever you are resentful or revengeful or full of complaints, it is actually the source of existence you are bitter against. It is just that you can never really directly, personally approach or confront the source of existence. So you vent out your resentment on the various objects in existence. You are not really angry on those miscellaneous little objects. Those little poor ones are just paying the price for being approachable and proximate. You witnessed this. The day has not really been smooth for you. All kinds of troubles and irritations have been besetting you. And in the evening you return to your house and lash out on your mother, on your sister, on your friend, on whosoever is available to be hit. That does not mean that the one who got hit was the culprit. In fact, he becomes the culprit because he got hit. Please appreciate this. His only fault, or at least his major fault, is that he is available to be hit. The rest of the universe, it's too distant, too big, too powerful, too indifferent, and also too spiteful to be hit. The fellows in the home, they are soft targets. They can be hit. Remember that your grudge is against much of what existence served you throughout the day. But you cannot lash out at everyone, can you? You don't easily slap your boss. The taxi driver is stinking like hell, but you don't ask him to stop the cab, and neither do you deboard. You just tolerate it. There is traffic on the road, and the road is ill-maintained, and it hurts your back when the equally ill-maintained vehicle with its bland tires meets the holes and bumps on the road. But you can't go and fight the municipality or the government or the larger institutions. So you come back and you find that your maid has still not finished washing the utensils. And you decide that your maid is the center of all evil in the world. And she has had it now. Are you getting it? And once you have started your acrid conversation, your heated exchange with the maid, soon it starts appearing that your spoiled mood was anyway always due to the maid's misdoings. You actually start feeling that the maid with her misdeeds has ruined your day. That's not the way it really is. There are dozens of, hundreds of people you are actually annoyed with. You can't name each of them, let alone vent yourself out on each of them. You don't even know that you are angry on at least 500 people every day. But they are just too far, too unapproachable. So it doesn't pay to enlist their names. So it doesn't pay to search for them and settle scores with them. When we are sore, the soreness is with much that we call as life. We love to unnecessarily, rather conveniently, simplify the issue and declare one or two or five persons or objects or events or situations as the cause of our turbulence, our annoyance. Those five are not the cause. Those five are actually the victims that bear the brunt of your annoyance against the entire existence. They suffer doubly. Are you getting it? If you ever find a person annoyed with one thing, you must know that the fellow is actually annoyed with life in general. It's just that the one thing he chooses to put his finger on is a soft target. And it is too much to complain against the universe in general. One looks like a fool. You have gone to the police station and lodging an FIR against the universe. So what do? You pick an element in the universe to hold your grudge against. That is convenient and lawful, no? That one, he is responsible for my shattered state. That one. Now you are relieved of declaring that you are actually fighting a mighty battle, that you are actually up against life itself, the universe itself. But that's the state of each one of us. We may keep asserting that we do not like A or B. The fact is, we do not like the alphabet itself, we hate the whole of dictionary. But it is within our scope to conveniently say that we are all right with stuff from C to Z. It is only A and B that we have trouble with. No. If you have trouble with A or B, you actually have trouble with every word in the dictionary. But that would be too much to declare. You would become an absolute minority. The entire universe on one side and you alone on the other. That would be, a bit too much to handle. So let's find out the maid. Where is she? And send her to the firing squad. She is the one who is responsible for all the catastrophes. If you can eliminate her, I tell you, the average global temperature would fall by 2 degrees centigrade within the next 24 hours. The entire locality finds her so hot. Just eliminate her, and you will be able to save millions of people and species. Kanika, just say, we are troubled. Never say, we are troubled because of A. Your troubles are not due to A. They have no reason, really. And if you want to ascribe a reason to them, let the reason be either you or God. Who is the reason? Either you, the ego, or God himself, who dispatched the ego. Others aren't really the ones who trouble us. It is life itself. And when I say life itself, what do I mean? Life isn't an objective reality. Life is as you live it. The way we live life is what troubles us. Are you getting it? Lao Tzu says, the man of virtue lives as the perpetual debtor, as someone who has been receiving and receiving, and therefore he is very, very ingratiated. And the man of vice, what does Lao Tzu say? A person without virtue acts as if he were the creditor that demands from others. The man of vice lives as someone who thinks that the world owes him a lot. I am entitled to such and such things, and why aren't they happening? That's the cause of trouble. What did you think I just said? Did I say that your sense of entitlement is the cause of trouble? No, not exactly. Your sense of unmet entitlement. You are entitled and you are receiving what you are entitled for. You are the king of the universe. You are surely entitled. But because you are the king of the universe, you also are getting what you deserve and what you ordain, what you ask for. And if you aren't getting anything, it is because the king himself has instructed that he is fasting and he should not be served anything for the next 7 days. The king has put it out in black and white. These are standing instructions from the king. I am fasting. Do not serve me anything for the next 7 days. And if I see anyone coming to me with anything to eat or drink, he shall be immediately beheaded. And now, come the 4th day of the fast, and an empty stomach has turned the king delirious. He has totally forgotten about all past and future. Samadhi has come just too soon, on the 4th day itself. He hardly remembers that it's he who enjoined that nobody should serve him any meals. Now he has grudges against the entire kingdom, against the entire universe. Why is nobody serving me anything? Because that's what you want, sir. And what is he doing now? He's roaming here and there, trying to spot somebody to assault. And the one who gets assaulted becomes the culprit. Because the king is the king and the king cannot assault somebody for no reason. So if somebody has been assaulted, he has to be the culprit. That's how the ego operates, doesn't it? If I am angry at you, you have to be the culprit. Otherwise, how could a just man like me be angry at you? You are both entitled and empowered. You have rights and powers both. You are the maker of your condition. I'm not saying you are the maker of conditions. I'm saying you are the decider of your condition. Please get the difference. When I say you are the king of the universe, I do not mean that you decide when the sun will rise and how much the waves will rise. You do not decide how the moon and the tides will behave. You are the king of the universe because you decide who you are. And the universe is a mere reflection of who you are. If you decide who you are, then you also indirectly decide what the universe is. Objectively, you have no hold, no control over the universe. But subjectively, you have all the control over the universe. And you do not live in an objective reality. You live in the subjective experience of yourself. Don't you? It's hot. When is it hot? When you experience that it is hot. Otherwise, it is not hot. Otherwise, hot is just a word. Does it mean anything to you? Is it suffering to you? Spirituality deals with the matter of human suffering. If something is just news, if something is just an objective fact, it cannot be a spiritual concern. It is your subjective suffering that is the concern of all spirituality. And your subjective suffering is decided by yourself. You are the king of the universe. You have no control over what the temperature is right now in here. But you have full control, or potentially you have full control over what the temperature inside is. You are entitled to have that control. You may relinquish that entitlement, that is another matter. You may forget your powers, that is another matter. But potentially, you have all the power to decide the inner temperature. Are you getting it? The man of virtue lives in this remembrance and realization. And then there is a great upsurge of gratefulness. A wide-eyed wonderment. Oh, you may say, a semi-closed-eyed wonderment. Either way. Childlike, you are wondrous with wide eyes. Buddha-like, you are wondrous with semi-closed eyes. Even in the worst of conditions, he knows that it is in his powers to call the condition as good or bad. And he really relishes that power. You may even say that in adverse conditions, he relishes that power even more. He says, see, seemingly the conditions are so bad, and yet only I know that there is nothing bad within. Oh, I am so grateful. Please turn on the heat. And then the contrast between the external heat and the inner glacier will be even more stark, and then I'll be even more grateful. Outside it's 50 degrees. Inside, it's 15. Oh, I'm so grateful. That's the mark of the faithful man. Adversities turn his faith even stronger. And the one with a fragile faith, he is broken open by calamities. Calamities are, too strong a word. He is broken open even by a little bit of usual adversities of life, the normal rough and tumble of life. The man of faith would say, great that I had to face challenges. They cemented my faith further. The man of little faith would say, oh, I had so much faith, yet this villainous existence destroyed me. Faith itself is a dirty word. Of what use was faith to me? I had infinite faith. And yet it proved of no avail. So Kanika, depends on you. You are the queen. You decide how the universe within you would operate. If you want to act troubled, that's your free will. When you do act troubled, remember that that's what you want. That's not what you are being forced to do. That's what you want. And then it is okay. Then you can enjoy being troubled a little bit on the outside. But inside you won't deviate. Like a refrigerator, like an insulator. Have you ever experienced an insulated vessel? A refrigerator rather is a good example. When it is hot, then how is the outer surface of the refrigerator? Hot. But irrespective of how the outer surface is, inside, chill. January, inside, chill. February, inside. August, inside. October, inside. January, outside, chill. May, outside, it's okay. On the outside, you can pretend to be like others. So that little spoon is hot in May, and the refrigerator is also pretending to be hot and enjoying a little bit of gossip with the spoon. Oh, it is so bad these days. Everything is hot. Outside, the spoon is 30 degrees. The refrigerator too is 30 degrees. So these two are buddies. Buddies on the spoon will never know that the heart of the refrigerator is super cool. The spoon will keep thinking that the refrigerator is just like me, Yeah, we two are buddies. Hot buddies. The life of the man of virtue is like an insulated vessel. There is something in him that does not allow the external to become internal. So his external looks and temperatures can be very, very deceptive. Don't be like the spoon. If you measure the man of virtue by just his external temperature or conduct, you will be deceived. He has a large interiority, and that large interiority will never be accessible to spoons. They will never come to know what it means to be in one cool state unexceptionally, like the heart of a glacier. Melting on the outside, solidly frozen on the inside. Sometimes even filthy on the outside. Happens with unfortunate glaciers like Gangotri that become accessible to mankind. People go and walk over them, at least on the periphery. And the ice is spoiled. You can look at the ice and say, this has been touched by man. But the heart remains Ganga-like always. Man will never have access to that. Well, metaphorically. A saint cultivates himself with introspection and self-discipline without blaming others for faults. That is the one difference between those who get better, improve in both the worldly and the spiritual sense, and those who do not. In fact, you can divide all mankind into these two halves. You could say there are only two kinds of people. One who look at themselves and try to be better, and those who have the entire world to blame for their miseries. Only two kinds of people. The first kind, on facing a reversal, a challenge, a setback or a hurt, retreats within himself, tortoise-like, and tries to figure out what is wrong in the inner functioning, in the inner location, in the inner constitution. The moment something goes wrong, he contracts within. He wants to find out how did he allow it to happen to himself. He faces an insult. He does not blame others. Instead, he just stops and asks himself, what did I do to allow this to happen to me? He stumbles upon a stone. He does not kick the stone away. He pauses and reflects and asks, why did I not see the stone? And then gently he may pick up the stone and keep it aside. A loss in any sense, inner or outer, would turn him even more introspective, even more meditative. If he has not been thoughtful, he would turn thoughtful. If he has been thoughtful, then his thought would go silent. Some change for improvement would be brought about in his inner condition by every setback he experiences. In fact, that's his method to get better. Experience a setback, get better. In some way, he has learned the art of utilizing all setbacks. He knows that all setbacks are there to reveal something to him. The moment he discovers a problem within, he almost cheers up. He says, wow, I've just figured out one more chink in the armor. You could say he is almost like an ethical hacker. He pays himself to figure out his own inner bugs. And the moment an inner bug is caught, he celebrates. Wow. One more potential troublemaker has been arrested. In law, we call it preventive detention. Arrest him before he makes trouble. At least arrest him after he has made trouble. What's the point in letting him remain at large and blaming this and that? If you ever want to figure out someone who will never really get better, just see who is very quick at finding mistakes in others. The tendency to find mistakes in others, to point fingers at others, is itself a great indicator of the quality of the person you are. If you really relish seeing others' deficiencies, then you are someone who would always remain in the mediocre realms of life. Because if you look at others' deficiencies, you will always have enough deficiencies to look at. And that enough will fill your stomach. You will say, he has so many deficiencies, he has so many weaknesses, he has so many shortcomings. I am better than them. Now, if I am better than them, what is the need to improve? And if you want to pick a great winner in advance, if you want to prophesize who is going to turn out a champion, then put your finger on someone who finds no pleasure in listing others' faults. He is going to be a champion. He is already a champion. He would simply ignore others' faults. This kind of lowly pleasure would have no appeal to him. We all are seekers of pleasure, aren't we? Huh? At the lowest level are carnal pleasures. Then there is mental happiness. And then there is spiritual joy. What is common amongst all three is that man wants to avoid pain and consequent suffering. Right? If you are someone who fulfills his quota of pleasure just by seeing others' mistakes and shortcomings, then you would not even require spiritual joy. What you want, you are easily getting just by looking at others. So the one who wants to excel in life does not allow him to be easily satiated. He would not allow himself to be easily pleasured. He would say, no. Lowly pleasures, I will not take them. I'm fasting, and that is the real meaning of fasting, I will not take lowly pleasures. Food, for example, is a lowly pleasure. That is also the real meaning of brahmacharya. I will not take lowly pleasures. I will aim for the highest joy. Because if I fill my stomach with rubbish, I will be left with no space to enjoy the great delicacies of the Atma. Don't you do that? When you know that there is a great feast in the evening, do you fill yourself up all through the day? No. You say, rather, I am fasting. And this is not a corrupted meaning of fasting. This is the real meaning of fasting. I reject the small, the lowly, so that I am in a state to accept the great. This is brahmacharya. if I just give myself basic pleasures and fall off to sleep, pleasures like sex, let's say, then will I be awake to receive trueness when it arrives? The one hungry for inner success will not succumb to his hunger. What happens when you succumb to your hunger? You eat just anything that you can spot. Does it not happen? This is the rule. When you are hungry, it's a great sign. Stay hungry. Because hunger would make you receptive. Hunger has opened you up. Now you really want to take something in. Hunger has turned you fertile. Now something can be sown in you. Hunger has created an empty space. Now something can enter that empty space. When you are hungry, don't succumb to your hunger. Hunger is a wonderful thing. Allow it to reach a height. Allow it to reach the right object that can fulfill it. If you are hungry for company, just don't latch on to the first person you find available. Allow your hunger to ripen. Your hunger will get you the right candidate. You can be with. But that's not how we operate, no? You have said that even after you reconcile, there is always a residue, a remaining resentment. That residue is because you have been reconciling with the wrong person. The elephant trampled your house, and then you caught the mouse, blamed it, and reconciled with it. Now the poor mouse finds it a relief that finally there is some reconciliation. Otherwise it was afraid it would be sent to the gallows. But you know very well that it is not the mouse that has trampled your house. So even after you have made peace with the mouse, how will you find peace? There would always remain a residual dissatisfaction, because you know that you have been making peace with the wrong one. You have been reconciling with the wrong one. Internally, you are unhappy with God. Externally, you may fight with your neighbor or your husband or your son or somebody. Even after the external quarrel is settled, the internal one is still raging. How will then a residue not remain? It would certainly be there. If you want to really fight Kanika, fight with God. He is an accomplished wrestler and he loves to wrestle with kids. Why are you just picking upon all and sundry, any random one? And settling scores. Go to the center of your dissatisfaction. Only there you will find the key to satisfaction. At the center, you are dissatisfied with your very being. At the center, everyone is dissatisfied with the person he or she is. And this dissatisfaction manifests itself in the form of the various miscellaneous quarrels that we helplessly enter into. Because we do not like ourselves, we do not like anything about ourselves and around ourselves. Fundamentally, we just don't like the way we are. That is the real reason of our annoyance. And when you don't like the way you are, you have only one entity to be unhappy with. You are really unhappy with God. Go to Him and ask Him, why did you make me like this? Go to Him and ask Him. Maybe that will remove your dissatisfaction. I've seen it happen, you know. There was a man who was totally unhappy with his life. And he had genuine reasons for his grouse. One, he could not see anything. He could not see anything. And second, he was told that he was very dark. And somehow he didn't like being very dark colored. That too must have been told to him, that it is not right to be dark colored. And he was very dissatisfied with his life, very dissatisfied. Two huge problems according to him. One, he could not see anything. Two, he would quarrel and argue with all and sundry. He was constantly in all kinds of altercations. He grew a loner. He started living in a dark cave. He started living in a dark cave. Then somebody told him one day, why don't you directly complain to the sun god? He is the source of all existence. He is the source of all energy, all movement, all light, all darkness. Why don't you go and complain directly to him? Why did he make you like this? So he came out of his cave. And went to sun. and he went to sun to complain of his dissatisfaction with his life. He went to the sun to complain that he was not happy with the way he was. Standing in the sun, he found he had no reasons left to complain. He could see. And when he saw that he was not at all dark colored. Even if you go close to the sun to complain, you have at least gone close. And then you will see. The darkness you find yourself shrouded in is because you are so alienated from the sun that you do not approach it even to complain. This kind of an alienation we have from the sun. Forget about being grateful and going to the sun to offer obeisance. Forget about being full of gratitude and going to the sun to offer one's love and respect. We are so cut off from the sun that we do not go to it even to offer our grudges and dissatisfaction. Even if you go to the sun to offer your dissatisfaction, you will not remain the way you think you are. You live in your own cave and there obviously you cannot see anything. You live in your own cave and there obviously everything including you is dark. Go to the sun. Just to complain, go to the sun. And you will find that everything about you has changed. You are no more the way. You have taken yourself to be always. So why are you the way you are? Because you are away from the one you are. Why are you the way you are? Because you are away from the one you are. Forget about real affinity. We have solid indifference against the truth. You know, indifference is worse than affinity and worse even than acrimony. There are people who have affinity to God, all right. There are people who have acrimony against God, all right, possible. But there is the vast majority that is simply indifferent to God. These are the ones who continue to live in their caves forever. Nanak Sahib said, "Tan man jo toko diyo tase nehu nakeen." Kahu Nanak sun baware kahe dolat deen. He was enjoining us to love the one who has given you everything. But that was a different age. People were innocent. People could easily love. I'm asking you, if you cannot love, at least go out and go close to him in order to hit him hard. But please don't be indifferent to him. It is impossible for us to love God. Such are the times. Long back, one of my videos was published with the title, "You will not be able to love a Buddha." In fact, you love someone, rest assured he cannot be a Buddha. When that video was published, I was hopeful and I was trying that I will be able to kindle some love in man's heart for a Buddha. Time has told me that the age we live in is the age of stark lovelessness. Oh, there is a lot of love in the air. But that's the worst, lowly, basal kind of love. So now I ask people to hate God. If you can't love him, hate him properly, hate him deeply. But please, please don't be indifferent. Don't keep simmering within your caves. Don't keep finding easy and soft targets to blame and assault. If you're not happy with something, accept that fundamentally you are unhappy with your life in general. It's just that you cannot fight all the time with everybody. Therefore, you pick upon a few suitable ones to fight at a time. Are you getting it? It's a great question to ask. Why am I like this? But you will be able to ask this only if, first of all, you are humble enough to admit that you deeply despise the one you are. How will you acknowledge that you deeply despise the one you are? Are there any telltale signs? Yes, there are. A made-up life is the clearest sign that you despise the one you are. Otherwise, why would you make yourself up so much? Make yourself up in all senses. Physical, mental, emotional, financial, social, even spiritual. If you were really all right with the one you are, why would you always be so eager and nervous and anxious about putting up a mask? Why would you always try to become somebody else? And then there is something worse than trying to become somebody else. There are people who say we are not happy with one mask, so we are trying to become somebody else by putting on another mask. And a new category of people is slowly becoming even more dominant in the popular conversation. It is a category that says, this mask is my real face, this is who I am. And I'll assert the one who I am. They say, oh, take me as I am, love me as I am. They say, express yourself, be who you are. And when they say be who you are, they are actually referring to the mask. Very stoutly, very confidently, these kind of people dominate the popular narrative. They say, so what if I am gluttonous? That's the way I am. Take it or leave it. Please, don't judge me. Please, no holier than thou sermons. I love to gossip. That's the way I am. That's my reality, And I don't even want to become somebody else. Now the saints have always taught that becoming is a disease. And such people, in a sense, are living exactly as per the saints, because they don't even want to become better. They say we are all right as we are. We are wallowing in filth. And that's how we are. We don't even want to come out. We don't even want to become anybody else. These are special times, The teachings of the past, as I said, were for innocent folks. Pre-information, pre-industrial age. Simple folks of the countryside. They were the ones the saints were talking to. Simple things could be said. Now is the time of the convoluted. So I say, if you have problems with your life, acknowledge them and go stab God in the heart. Maybe that is the only way you will ever get close to hugging Him. The man of past would go and roll at God's feet. That was his way of gaining nearness. The way you would gain nearness is go and stab God in the heart. Maybe you would end up hugging Him. Maybe you would not. Who knows? Maybe this God fellow is all bogus. Finish him off. Maybe you are to be remembered in history as the God slayer. Go and claim your position. But please don't keep on living contained in your stinking inner cave.